Welcome everyone to this wonderful presentation skills topic. We will learn how to make an impressive, impactful presentations. What are the essential features that is to be incorporated for wowing the audience, for making the audience captivating their attentions. So let us proceed. First and foremost, what is the definition? A presentation is a means of communication. When I say means of communication, which you need to understand, it is just a modalities wherein in you focus on different situation. For example, you're trying to talk to a group or probably address a meeting before a team briefing altogether. So you need to understand what are your key takeaways for every particular presentation that comes around it. What are the key objectives? Why are you having a meeting in the first place? And remember, presentation is always done in front of more than two or more people. So that needs to be taken in consideration. So let us understand what are the steps that makes a presentation skills much more impactful, and these are the four steps that comes around it, which starts with the alphabet P for plan, P for prepare, P for practice, and P for present. We will decipher each and every piece in the subsequent slides. Let us talk about number one. You need to answer following question. Now, this is the question that you're going to ask yourself, right? As you are supposedly going to make a presentation. So, what are the questions that you look into it? Who are your audience? Now, this is where you understand what is the level of audience that you're looking at it. Are they at par with your intelligence level? Are they at subpar at your intelligence level? Or are they at a super par, or they are much more advanced, much more well equipped than the intelligence level you are going to go around it. So, based upon it, you will pitch your presentations altogether. If people are superior towards you, make an emotional appeal. If people are inferior to you, make an intelligent appeal. And if people are at par with you, make a rational appeal. So why are they here? Now this is one, you need to understand their objective of attending a particular meeting. What is the goal? Remember, every presentation will have a goal. Remember, this particular presentation, my goal is to make you or decipher what are the various points of making an effective presentation. How long will it be? Never pace it beyond a particular time, depending upon the vulnerability or importance of the topic that goes around it, and most importantly, where will it take place. Definite time. Is it a neutral zone? Is it your home turf? Or is it their turf that you're working around it? You are an external person, you are in minority as a presenter, and the audience are in the majority of the group. So we'll talk of the next P, which is prepare. Preparing is all the points that needs to be taken care of. Remember, see the pictograph that I've done it. It's all telling me which all the points that comes around it, the scrapbook or the scrap notes that comes around it. So start with the structure of presentation. What should be the structure? Will it be an informal structure? Will it be a formal structure? Would you like to have games around it? How will you drive your point? Speak about being on a prompt basis. What are the visual aids that is required? Now this is the crux of the presentation. People do listen, people end up hearing, say don't listen at all. But if people see, they don't, they might actually watch, and things get registered on their heads. So we need to understand the voice. Now we are talking out here the tonation part, the way you moderate your tone, and so on and so forth. Your appearances matter at the presentation. How serious are you with yourself? That will relate to the topic that you are delivering. Then of course is this style. Now people have a various style. They have a common lingua franca, which the probably the audience are uh, very much aware of, very much abreast with the situation. Or you can have the technical lingua franca, which tells you that you are way superior to their understanding altogether. So what are the style that you look into it? It might be, again, I repeat again, impromptu style, or properly prepared in advance, and you are delivering as per the pace decided. And definitely we'll speak about the questions. Now these are the questions that I'll delve in the subsequent slide altogether, so do not worry. So we'll come to the structures one by one. First and the foremost thing is the objective. Tell them the goals of the presentation. Remember, yes, very true. Remember, I started with PPP: prepare, plan, present. Remember, prompt. What we are talking around here is structuring or telling your objective at the very beginning, so the audience get captivated with the presentation topic. Then comes the introduction. Give a brief introduction as to why this particular presentation is going around it before moving to the main content, and then followed it by summarize it and give your recommendation as to what exactly are the. And believe me or not, people will be questioning you, people will be doubting your intention. You need to calm their queries altogether by answering promptly and factually as far as possible. We'll talk about the structure. Now, first and the foremost thing is the introduction, where my idea is to grab the attention of the audience. This is the introduction. Then comes the main thing, where we want to speak about the topic, the content, why we are particularly mesmerized at that point of time, why it is ruling over the situation. So we need to understand those main things and follow it by with the conclusion part, wherein the key takeaway message has to be prompted as to what is being expected of them, or what was the idea behind the particular presentation. We'll talk about the prompt. Definitely, yes, as small as possible. Please make a prompt or bullet points, keywords altogether. Remember, earlier days, you there was no PowerPoint, there was no electricity, and people had impactful leaders at that point of time. So how did they go around it? First and foremost thing, as in PowerPoint, have certain keywords ready with you, which you can have a ready reference. Let's say, for example, for certain reason things goes wrong and your electronic equipment is not working for certain number of reasons. What do you do about it? Will you abandon the presentation? No. Prepare your keywords, keep them handy. Keep the entire prompt with yourself, either on electronical media or in a physical medium. These prompts are only for you to understand the flow of the presentation. Remember, these are just the key point that is mentioned out here. I have said around it. Visual aid is the bulk, or should I say the basis of a wonderful presentation. Use simple fonts, use images as often as possible, 3 to 7 bullets per slide. You look at my slide, I have somewhere around 5, and that is what I would love to keep it that way. And as far as possible, every slide should have been as novel or as new as it could be, and make sure that there is a lot of white space or lot of blank spaces, because otherwise your slide will be crowded and it will look very clumsy. It will not fetch the attention of your voice. Now, modulator voice, this is very important. How do you modulate the voice? If you look into it, this is the voice that comes around it. It should go to the audience, reach the audience, grab their attention by the ears, and make them listen to what actually you want to go around it. Definitely the point you want to throw, the point you want to push through, you got to overemphasize, vary the pitch or the volume. About the modulation, look at here, I have given you just an example as what is an exact appearance in terms formality. I have followed the western dictum. Please adapt it to our requirement. Why western dictum? Because the same set of clothes can work for both the genders. Essentially, the key takeaways are dark colors, wear them absolutely as comfortable as possible. Your shoes should be actually prompting confidence or effusing confidence from your end. Allow yourself to move a bit, probably don't get fidgeted, don't get rigid. Please smile a lot, smile a lot. Have that confidence flare about yourself, move around, and things will put in. We have said about the professional dress code. Remember, I said about the Western outfit. What are we looking into it? It has been clearly mentioned. Shirt should always have a color. This is what is most important. People actually wear a shirt without a color, and that makes a very terrible appearances altogether. A formality has to be there. Now, please remember the tie and the color of your shirt should coordinate at all. After all, they should match, either match or they should function in synchronicity. Always, 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 I say, wear a belt. Do not wear a pant just for the sake of wearing it. Please embellished with a belt around it. For colors, thick, things light, which are absolutely a little bit of a brown, beige, olive, gray, and black if possible. And definitely your boots needs to be absolutely formal with a lace around here. That needs to be grounded. Do not have anything else other than the formal shoes. So just to give you understanding what is a formal attire and what is a informal attire, and you look into it, these are two pictograph which will tell it exactly what exactly is a formal and informal, a professional or a non-professional dress code. We'll talk about the styles right now. Be yourself. First and foremost thing, many a people tell or try to mimic the successful orator that they fantasize about it. Do not do that. Absolutely do not do that. Be yourself. Use the words and sentences that you are comfortable. If you are not comfortable, at least your audience are comfortable. Do not utilize fancy jargon, beautiful ornamental words. Do not copy others. Remember, that is what I've been trying to tell it to you. You be. Last but not the least, did I say about the question that I'll be repeating against is here is the question. Look, the gentleman sitting on the question board is thinking, absolutely thinking. Think aloud as to at the end of the presentation, what are the various questions that comes around it? What are the various questions that can spring in the mind of the audience? And if you are well prepared with certain list of questions, in all probabilities, they will be the most common question that will be prompted out, uttered towards you, and you will be able to decipher each questions time and again to the satisfaction of the audience. In case there is a surprise, think a little. In case if you think you are not in a position to speak out or answer promptly or properly, take time or ask the gentleman or the lady from the audiences to meet after the meeting and consult somebody else before attending their queries, but do attend it, because if you do not, it leaves a wrong impression. So we will talk about the preparation phase. This is you. Remember, this is you and this is the audiences. Here is the audiences, what we are looking into it. So you have an idea as to what exactly the presentation is all about it. Your first idea. Can you let it boil down overnight? Probably consult with somebody else and improve upon an idea. Then think about a design story as to how will you pitch the presentation. Will it be the formal thing? Will it be particularly bullet points prompted given every now and then? If possible, can we have some video concepts? Can we have some pictographical representations and so on and so forth? And once you start doing this, your story is already intact by here. This is the point where your story is already intact, and this is where you start practicing. As a person, you start practicing out here. Yeah, if you cannot, things goes wrong. This is where once practice been done, you execute and the audience is absolutely happy. So remember the preparation phase, the first idea, the improved idea, the story design, the visual concept, graphic execution, delivery, coaching, execution, and but not the least is the audience part. Let us understand what is the preparation material. First and foremost thing, be prepared to prepare certain content for your presentation. Now, a audience will be happy if they have been meted out with the handouts or personal notes. Now, this can be given as an interpretation of your ideas to the presentation. The handouts which you have already presented to these audiences will give them a ready reference just in case they have misplaced a particular slide, a particular aspect of your presentation. For whatever reasons, they can always refer back to the handout. This makes your presentation very watertight and content is very ready references. Now, where do you get it from? You can get all these materials from the internet and the other visual aids that comes around it. Internet, it is available out here. The flip cards, the clip arts, the whatever you want to go around it, we will be having. Remember, you can never run out of practice. Practice, because practice is the only thing that can eliminate not only fear but instill confidence in you. So how do we practice? We rehearse all the points, whatever we have said. We rehearse all with the visual aids, as in what are the timing, the space, the handouts that goes around it. Again and again we can practice to manage time, to maintain the pitch altogether, and in front of a mirror or in a front of a friend who can give you a very constructive criticism as to what are the things that you are doing right and what are the things that needs to be improved upon. Last but not the least will be the time of your presentation. Show yourself, be confident, be prepared to the limelight. Make a very, very, very strong smile. Remember, it is the first 2 3 minutes where you can capture the attention of the audiences. If you do not capture in the first 2 3 minutes, things might not go in your favor. Show your passion. Remember, show your passion with your movement of your limbs. Look at me, and when I am presenting right now, as of this point, you can very well visualize that I'm smiling right now. You can very well visualize that I'm moving my hands to make understand certain gesture, despite that fact that I am not being visible on the screen. So definitely what you're trying to do, you are trying to make an eye contact. Look at it, what I've been trying to doing myself. I am underlining any presentation and every presentation. What is exactly been meant out here is I am asking you to make an eye contact with the point that I'm relating right now. Never ever forget to smile until and unless the topic is very sad or very depressing. Be with the flow topic. So let us understand the speaker's impact. Now, very, very many impact. If you look into it, I've just given it to you. Remember, text is only 7%, visual is 55%, and that is the only reason why this particular presentation will have a lot of visual presentation. 55%. And last but not the least is the presenter himself, how he is going to manipulate, modulate, or should I say integrate topic, voice, story, as the case might be. Here is what the speaker's impact is all about. It. Let us understand what happens if there is a flaw in the presentation. The audience gets disinterested. They get disillusioned. So how do we go around it? What happens around it? So lack of experience, number one for the presentation. So look at it. The presenter is more interested in the whiteboard rather than the audience. In fact, is showing the back towards the audience and people are not getting engaged. So that's one of the experiences that you got to gain around. Then comes the lack of enthusiasm, the lack of practice against relate to it. If you do not have certain content material, if you do not have certain handouts, the audiences might lose a track. Last but not the least would be a confidence. Confidence is thus manifestation in terms of hesitation. Excuse me. And or more often than not, in a way that the presenter wants to present a very neutral point of view, in the conclusion there is an ambiguity in the result, and that surprisingly puts off the audience all at a time. You have to take a side, you have to conclude very strong. That is what we looking into it. So if we can understand what are the flaws in the presentation, let us understand what are the factors related to successful presentation. First and foremost, be over prepared. Do it twice, thrice, four times, or up 10 times before you go in front of the audience. Rehearse and practice. Have a grip on the topic. Get all sort of materials related to the topic altogether. And foremost thing is to do not present a topic which you are not very well aware of. So know your subject. Be positive. Do not take any kind of stress altogether and look at it. This is the presenter. Everybody is very happy with raising their hand and so on. So, in conclusion, how do we go about it? Number one, always prepare. Nothing can compensate to your preparation. Channelize your fear. If you are afraid of certain thing, make it compensated with a knowledge, compensated with practice, and if possible, interact. Make the audience adaptive, talkative with you, and that will instill a confidence not only in the audience but in you too. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.